Everyone knows that the quarterback is the most important position in all of sports, and they are often the deciding factor between a good or bad team. There are a lot of good quarterbacks in the league, but who's actually the best? In this video, I'm going to be ranking the top 32 quarterbacks heading into the 2026 NFL season. If you enjoyed this video, then please drop a like and subscribe if you're new. I spent a ton of time putting this video together, so hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel would be greatly appreciated. Thank you, and let's get started. Number 32, Michael Penix, Atlanta Falcons. After a promising 3-game rookie season, Penix was very mid in his second year. 2,000 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions in 9 games doesn't sound all that bad, but he had more turnover-worthy plays than big-time throws, and his accuracy was all over the place, as he actually led the NFL in bad throw rate. He also suffered a torn ACL for the 3rd time in his career, so the injury concerns that followed him in college are still very much present. I do think Penix is better than Tua, but if he doesn't have a good season, it might be time to move on. Number 31, Malik Willis, Miami Dolphins. For the past 2 years now, Willis has been learning under Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love, and whenever he's had to step in, he's been really good. In 2025, his game against Baltimore was one of the best individual quarterback performances of the season, and on 47 dropbacks, he had 3 big-time throws to 0 turnover-worthy plays. This offseason, Miami decided to take a gamble on Willis and see if he could become the next backup QB turned superstar. Given the surrounding cast, my hopes aren't too high, but Willis has shown really good progression since his Tennessee days, and you never know. Maybe he lights it up. Number 30, Fernando Mendoza, Las Vegas Raiders. The number 1 overall pick in this year's draft, Mendoza was easily the best QB prospect in a weak QB class. He's coming off a season where he won the national championship and the Heisman, and there's a lot to like about him, whether that be his frame, leadership, or ability to throw beautiful back shoulder and chemistry balls that not every QB has the timing or anticipation to do. He's obviously not a perfect prospect, he doesn't have the mobility of a lot of other QBs, and did run a more simple offense in Indiana, so it could take time for him to get used to an NFL offense. But he likely won't be starting week 1, which is good for him, and I think he has a lot of potential to be the Raiders' next franchise QB. Number 29, Geno Smith, New York Jets. I still cannot believe the Jets actually reacquired Geno Smith, the same guy who busted with them back when they originally drafted him. But Smith is entering the Jets on a very sharp downward trend, and he was abysmal for the Raiders, leading them to the number 1 overall pick and drafting Fernando Mendoza. He put up a whopping 19 touchdowns to 17 interceptions and had his lowest big-time throw rate since 2017. Frankly, I don't expect Smith to do much with the Jets, and at nearly 36 years old, it might be time to hang it up. Number 28, Kirk Cousins, Las Vegas Raiders. After initially looking washed as hell in 2024 and getting benched for Michael Penix, Cousins was forced to step in this past season after Penix went down and actually played pretty well. In 8 starts, Cousins put up just over 1,700 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. He actually did a fantastic job at taking care of the football. His 1.7 turnover-worthy play percentage was the best in his entire career and the 3rd best in the entire NFL. Cousins played well enough for Vegas to sign him as Fernando Mendoza's mentor, and I think it was a great signing. Cousins can provide relatively stable QB play while Mendoza gets ready, and I think he'll be pretty decent here. Number 27, Jacoby Brissett, Arizona Cardinals. Brissett has definitely started to become a bit overrated by some. I mean, some people are saying he was better than Kyler, which is just ridiculous. But when Brissett had to step in, he wasn't bad, even if he did go 1-11 as a starter. Brissett put up 3,366 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions in the 12 games he played. Though those numbers were a bit inflated considering he threw the ball like 500 times a game. But he did a good job at taking care of the football and kept the Cardinals' passing attack competent, which was impressive considering nothing else on that team was. He even broke the single-game completion record in Week 11. I don't think Brissett is anything more than a solid bridge quarterback, but hey, the Cardinals will take anything right now. Number 26, Jackson Dart, New York Giants. As a whole, Dart had a very solid rookie season for the Giants. In the 12 games he played, Dart put up 2,272 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. He was also very good on the ground, adding another 487 yards and 9 touchdowns. There were definitely some ugly moments, like putting up 33 yards against the Vikings or blowing a 19-point lead to the Broncos, but there were a lot of flashes as well. I definitely think Dart needs to learn how to take care of himself better. He was very reckless at times, and that led to him getting banged up a bit. He's of course also only played 1 year, and I am taking his rushing success with a bit of a grain of salt because that wasn't really a definitive strength in college, and I would expect that production to regress in 2026. But overall, I think Dart showed a lot of flashes, and I'm excited to see what he can do this season. Number 25, Tyler Shough, New Orleans Saints. Another second-year quarterback, Shoug's rookie season also showed a lot of promise. He put up 2,400 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions in the 10 games he played, and I do think he was a little better than Dart, which shouldn't be too much of a surprise considering he's nearly 27 while Dart recently turned 23. Shough was borderline elite at taking care of the football, something Dart struggled with at times, as Shough's 2.0 turnover-worthy play percentage was tied for 4th best among QBs. I think the main difference between Shough and Dart was that Shough played more on time and in rhythm, while Dart played a bit more backyard football. Not that backyard football can't work, but it leads to more volatility, while Shough was more stable. Just like Dart, I think Shough is only going to get better, and with a great supporting cast, I think he could take a huge leap in 2026. Number 24, Cam Ward, Tennessee Titans. No, I didn't purposely put all 3 2025 rookie QBs next to each other, it's just how things turned out. I just love Ward as the best QB in this class, even if his numbers weren't the best. Ward only had 15 touchdowns in 17 games, which isn't great, and he definitely was not good at taking care of the football. His interception totals weren't bad, but he did have fumbling problems, and he finished with more turnover-worthy plays than big-time throws. But Ward did make some big-time throws. In terms of raw arm talent, Ward is definitely in the top half, if not top 10, and some of the dimes he dropped were genuinely insane. He also did not have a lot to work with. His receivers weren't great, and his O-line couldn't block a salty french fry. Ward was the number 1 overall pick for a reason, and I think his rookie season was quite impressive given the circumstances. With a new head coach and shiny new wide receiver in Carnell Tate, the sky is the limit for Ward. Number 23, Kyler Murray, Minnesota Vikings. At this point, Murray is probably one of the more underrated quarterbacks in the league, though I only say that because some people genuinely believe Jacoby Brissett was better in 2025, but the people that actually have eyes know that's not the case. Murray was very solid in the 5 games he played and wasn't exactly helped out much considering this was before Michael Wilson's breakout, and while Marvin Harrison was playing more like Laquan Treadwell than his dad. He actually had just a 1.4 turnover-worthy player percentage, the 2nd best in the entire league, and taking care of the football has always been a relative strength for Murray. He's also still one of the best rushing threats in the NFL as well, even if he hasn't done it quite as much as he did at the start of his career. It will be very interesting to see how he plays in the Kevin O'Connell offense, which is different than anything he's done before, and obviously his height could play a factor into that, but I think Murray is still a very decent quarterback. It should be pretty good for Minnesota. Number 22, Bryce Young, Carolina Panthers. Young isn't the elite quarterback Panthers fans were hoping to get when they traded the entire town of Erect to move up to get him, but things are infinitely better with Young than they were during that abysmal rookie season. In 2025, Young had just over 3,000 yards, along with 23 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. He didn't throw the ball all that much, but he was mostly efficient when he did and had some very good games, including 448 yards against the Falcons in Week 11, and also played very well against the Rams in their wildcard game. I'm not sure Young will ever become that elite quarterback, but it's nice to know that he found his footing, and the Panthers have a perfectly fine QB of the future. Number 21, Aaron Rodgers, Pittsburgh Steelers. Rodgers came into Pittsburgh and played exactly how you would expect. He took care of the football, made some good throws, and did build a nice chemistry with DK Metcalf, at least until Metcalf got suspended for going full Floyd Mayweather on a fan. Rodgers wasn't very good in the playoffs, but I don't blame him for struggling against the Texans defense. Rodgers of course doesn't move like he used to. He is 42 years old after all, but he still has a great arm and is very accurate for the most part. There really isn't much room for Rodgers to climb this list, but he hasn't showed too much regression the past few years and should be decent for the Steelers. Number 20, Daniel Jones, Indianapolis Colts. Jones is a very tough QB to rank because of course he started the 2025 season extremely strong, but did suffer that torn Achilles, and that's not the first season-ending injury he's dealt with. Plus, Jones did start to play worse toward the end of his season. I mean, 11 of his 18 turnover-worthy plays came in the final 5 games, and he did finish with more turnover-worthy plays and big-time throws. But we obviously can't ignore just how efficient he was in those first 8 games of the season when he was playing like a top 10 quarterback. There are a lot of possible outcomes for Jones depending on if he can properly recover from his injury, and if he can get back to the level he was playing at to start the season. This is one of those situations where we'll just have to wait and see. Number 19, CJ Stroud, Houston Texans. It was only 2 years ago that Stroud was a unanimous top 10 quarterback, but oh how the mighty have fallen. Stroud has only been getting worse and worse each season, and while he wasn't necessarily bad in 2025, he wasn't great either. But this massive drop-off really comes from Stroud's 2025 playoff run, where frankly he looked like he belonged in the XFL. And I'm not just talking about the 4 interceptions in one half against the Patriots. I'm talking about the 51.9 58.9 completion percentage, the 51.8 passer rating, the 11.2 turnover-worthy play percentage. Look, Stroud is a talented quarterback, everyone knows that, but whether it's a mental problem on Stroud's part or just defenses have figured him out, something needs to change before Stroud goes from a rookie sensation to a bench warmer. Number 18, Bo Nix, Denver Broncos. This might seem a bit low for Nix, but there are just a lot of good QBs in the league right now, and I still like Nix a lot. He does drop some sneakers every now and then, but for the most part, he's very efficient and he's great at taking care of the football. He actually led the entire NFL in pass attempts, but only had 11 interceptions and a 2.8 turnover-worthy play percentage. Plus, he was very solid on the ground, scoring 5 rushing touchdowns. He also played arguably his best game of the season against the Bills in the divisional round, and I firmly believe had he not injured himself right before the conference championship, the Broncos would have advanced to the Super Bowl. Nix is exactly what Sean Payton needs for his offense, and I think despite the fact that he may never be a top 5 or even top 10 guy, the Broncos are set QB. Number 17, Brock Purdy, San Francisco 49ers. Purdy only played 9 games due to injury in 2025, but when he was on the field, he was actually very good, much better than he was in 2024. Purdy had 2,200 yards and 20 touchdowns in these 9 games, but also had 10 interceptions, and as a whole, turned the ball over a little much for my liking. But he did also make a ton of great throws and even had 2 straight weeks, 16 and 17, where he scored 5 touchdowns in each game. Unfortunately, Purdy's success didn't carry much over to the postseason. He was okay against the Eagles, but not great against the Seahawks, and I didn't think his physical limitations prevent him from being a bona fide top 10 QB. But just like how Bo Nix fits Sean Payton's offense perfectly, Purdy fits Kyle Shanahan's offense perfectly, and if the 49ers somehow don't lose any more pieces, maybe they can be something. Number 16, Baker Mayfield, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. After an extremely strong start to the 2025 season, Mayfield tapered off quite a bit and overall was not nearly as good as he was in 2024. 37 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions isn't bad, but not what we've seen the past couple years in Tampa. His 4.1 turnover-worthy play percentage was the highest of his career, and he also had the second fewest yards per attempt of his career. In his final 8 games, Mayfield threw 10 touchdowns and 9 interceptions, and his drop in play was a big reason as to why the Bucs fell off and missed the playoffs. Reports did come out that he was playing with injury, so maybe he can bounce back in 2026, but he is now 31 years old, and with contract negotiations up in the air, this may be his last year in Tampa. Number 15, Jalen Hurts, Philadelphia Eagles. Kevin Patullo certainly didn't do Hurts any favors, but Hurts for the most part was the same guy he's been since 2022. An above average QB that can make some big throws when needed and take care of the football, but doesn't really elevate the players around him. Hurts did have a career low in yards per attempt and also didn't have the rushing impact we're used to seeing from him, but I would chalk that up more to Kevin Patullo than Hurts. He was also just okay in the Eagles wildcard loss, but AJ Brown dropping 2 passes didn't help. At this point, everyone knows who Jalen Hurts is, a pretty good quarterback you can definitely win the Super Bowl with given the right situation, as we saw in 2024. Things don't work out in 2025, so we'll just have to see if 2026 can be better. Number 14, Caleb Williams, Chicago Bears. After a promising but rough rookie season, Williams took a huge year 2 leap under Ben Johnson, leading the Bears to an 11-6 record, a division title, and a playoff win. Williams finished with just under 4,000 yards, 27 touchdowns, and just 7 interceptions. If you were to compile the 10 best throws of the 2025 season, Williams probably has 3 or 4 of these. Plus, he was one of the most clutch quarterbacks in the league, finishing with 6 game-winning drives, and the Bears also had the most fourth-quarter points in the NFL. It definitely wasn't all perfect. The accuracy is still sporadic at times, and that's probably his biggest issue. But Williams already took a massive leap in his first year with Ben Johnson, so at this point, the sky's the limit. Number 13, Jayden Daniels, Washington Commanders. Daniels unfortunately did not have the year or 2 that many of the other quarterbacks in his draft class did, as he dealt with injuries all season and played just 7 games. In those 7 games, Daniels put up 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions, and added another 278 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. As a whole, Daniels unfortunately just didn't play at the same level as he did in his rookie season, and combined with the injuries, a concern of his coming out of college, that leads me to dropping him outside of the top 10, where pretty much everyone had him last year. But this of course doesn't mean I think he's a bad quarterback or I think that he can't bounce back. We are just 1 year removed from him having one of the best rookie QB seasons we've ever seen. He just has to go back out there and prove he's not the next CJ Stroud. Number 12, Trevor Lawrence, Jacksonville Jaguars. After years of wondering when that next step would come, in 2025 it finally came, and it's no coincidence that it came in Liam Cohen's first year. Who would have thought? Give Trevor Lawrence good offensive coaching, he plays well. While it was a fairly inconsistent season as a whole, Lawrence was very good in 2025, finishing with 4,000 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. He also added 9 rushing touchdowns as well, a mark he hasn't come close to in the years past. The end of the season was where Lawrence really turned things on, as he had 19 touchdowns and just a single turnover in the final 6 games of the season. Lawrence is absolutely on an upward trajectory right now, and don't be surprised if he has a monster 2026 season. Number 11, Justin Herbert, Los Angeles Chargers. Having Justin Herbert outside the top 10 feels extremely wrong, but at this point, other QBs have passed him by. Herbert had a pretty good 2025 season, 3,700 yards, 26 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, but it was kind of the same production we've been seeing the past 4 years. Now, of course, the season was all the more impressive when you consider the fact that his top 2 offensive tackles went down for the season, and the Chargers O-line was one of, if not the worst in the league. And of course, that was a big reason for the Chargers getting destroyed in the wildcard round, though at the same time, Justin Herbert was terrible, as we're unfortunately used to seeing in the playoffs. I still think Herbert has one of the best arms in the league, and hopefully hiring Mike McDaniel can elevate the Chargers offense to heights Greg Roman just couldn't, but until we see it, I am dropping Herbert outside the top 10. Number 10, Jared Goff, Detroit Lions. For 3 years now, Goff has been one of the most efficient system quarterbacks in the NFL. He is a system quarterback, that's kind of known at this point, but he's a damn good one. He's been second at passing yards each of the last 3 seasons and has thrown 30 or more touchdowns in all of these seasons as well. He's great at taking care of the football and can distribute the ball effectively. He doesn't make a lot of high-end throws. His big-time throw rate has been around 3% for the past 4 years now, but he doesn't really need to. He's got the talent around him for that. As long as he's efficient, the Lions offense is efficient. I do think he wasn't quite as good as he was in 2023 or 2024, but he didn't have Ben Johnson, so that's expected, honestly. At the end of the day, you know what you're getting from Goff, and that's a very good quarterback who can operate the Lions system extremely effectively, and he kicks off the top 10. Number 9, Sam Darnold, Seattle Seahawks. The Super Bowl champion, Darnold followed up a fantastic season in Minnesota with another great season in Seattle. They didn't ask much of him. He did throw the ball nearly 70 less times, but he was extremely efficient. His 8.5 yards per attempt were second only to Drake May, and his 5.7 big time throw percentage was 7th. He wasn't the best at taking care of the football. 14 interceptions isn't great, but it never was a huge detriment on the team. The biggest difference from last year was obviously his playoff performance. Last season he crumbled in the biggest moments, but this year he was awesome, especially in the NFC Championship game, where he had nearly 350 yards and 3 touchdowns. Darnold obviously isn't an elite quarterback, everyone knows that, but he's really turned his career around, and it's safe to say Seattle found their franchise guy. Number 8, Dak Prescott, Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys only won 7 games in 2025, but that was not due to Prescott, who at 32 years old had one of the best seasons of his career, finishing with 4,500 yards, 30 touchdowns, and just 10 interceptions. Despite the fact that he was almost always trailing due to his defense, Prescott managed to keep things under control, taking care of the football and operating the offense at an extremely efficient level. Had the Cowboys had not the literal worst defense in the league, they probably would have made the playoffs. Even at now 33 years old, I think Prescott is a definitive top 10 quarterback, and hopefully he can actually get help from his defense this season. Number 7, Jordan Love, Green Bay Packers. The run numbers may not show up, but Love was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL this season. In 15 games, Love put up 3,400 yards, 23 touchdowns, and just 6 interceptions. His 5.8 big-time throw percentage was the best of his career and 6th in the NFL. As usual, he was extremely good at taking care of the football, and he actually graded out as the 5th best QB in the league this season. Plus, even though the Packers lost, Love played amazing in their wildcard game, putting up over 300 yards and 4 touchdowns with no turnovers. Love is only getting better and better every year, and I think it's time more people talk about him as one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Number 6, Drake May, New England Patriots. Some people might question this placement because May wasn't very good in the playoffs, and that's true, he wasn't good, and that's the reason I don't have May in the top 5, because for my money, Drake May should have won MVP, and I have a whole video explaining why, because what he did in the regular season was incredible, easy schedule or not, and let's not act like he didn't play well against good teams. He had one of his most efficient games of the season in week 5 against the Bills, put up a career-high 380 yards against the Ravens, had a near-perfect passer rating against Carolina, and put up nearly 300 yards and 3 touchdowns against Myles Garrett, despite Garrett sacking May 5 times. May's 8.9 yards per attempt led the entire NFL, and he was also towards the top of the league in numerous other metrics, including completion percentage, yards, touchdowns, and big-time throw rate. And yes, he did struggle more in the playoffs, but he also had to face the 3 best defenses in the league in the Texans, Broncos, and Seahawks back-to-back-to-back. And the Broncos game was in the snow. I'd be more surprised if May didn't struggle. He's an awesome quarterback and absolutely deserves to be top 6. Number 5, Matthew Stafford, Los Angeles Rams. The reigning NFL MVP, Stafford had the best season of his entire career at 37 years old, finishing first in yards, touchdowns, and big-time throw rate. He was ridiculously efficient all season, rarely turned the ball over, and even played extremely well in the playoffs. playoffs. Had it not been for his defense, more specifically the secondary playing terribly against the Seahawks, the Rams may have moved on, but Stafford sure as hell did his part. The difference in playoff performance is the reason I have Stafford over May, even though I stand by my take that May should have won MVP. But obviously, I still think Stafford is incredible, and even now at 38 years old, kicks off the top 5. Number 4, Lamar Jackson, Baltimore Ravens. The big 4 QBs are still the big 4 QBs, but the order might be different from what we're used to seeing. All 4 of these guys are the best of the best, generationally elite quarterbacks, but I do have Lamar at 4. And it's not entirely his fault. He just got injured in 2025, and when he returned, wasn't as efficient, mostly because he was playing through nagging injuries. He was still good, 2,500 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions in 13 games, but he did have more turnover-worthy plays than big-time throws, and like I said, just wasn't quite the same player we saw in 2024. I think he can definitely get back to that now that he's fully healthy, but for now, he sits at 4. Number 3, Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City Chiefs. I'm doing it. After years of Mahomes being the definitive best quarterback in the league, I'm knocking him all the way down to 3. I couldn't do it in 2023 because they still won the Super Bowl. I couldn't do it in 2024 when they still made the Super Bowl, but after 3 seasons of mediocre production, plus the Chiefs missing the playoffs this year, I think I'm finally ready to do it. And it's not like Mahomes getting hurt caused them to miss the playoffs. They were 6-8 when he got hurt anyway. And that's another thing. Can he bounce back from the first significant injury he's had in his career? I definitely think he can, but he has to prove it. Obviously, I still think Mahomes is an amazing quarterback, and let's be honest, the system around him hasn't been all that amazing, but he is getting Eric Bieniemy back this season, and to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if we're soon talking about Mahomes as the best quarterback in the league again. Number 2, Joe Burrow, Cincinnati Bengals. Down for down, Joe Burrow was the best quarterback in the NFL last season, and frankly, it's not even that debatable. Yes, he got injured, and the injuries are why he's not number 1 right now, but I don't think people realize just how incredible Joe Burrow was last season. In 8 games, Burrow put up 1,800 yards, 70 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. That's already really good, but there's more. His 6.6 big-time throw percentage was 4th. He graded out as the 2nd highest QB, only behind Stafford. And oh yeah, he had a ridiculous 0.7 turnover-worthy play percentage, which is quite literally the best rate among QBs with at least 200 dropbacks ever since PFF began charting turnover-worthy player rate all the way back in 2006. And considering QBs only put the ball in harm's way more the further you go back, it's safe to say that Burrow in 2025 probably had the best season out of any quarterback in NFL history when it came to taking care of the football. 2 turnover-worthy plays on nearly 300 dropbacks. That's just insane. Burrow is still the most accurate QB in the league in my opinion. He almost never makes bad decisions. His mind is prime Aaron Rodgers level, and god damn it, if he could just stay healthy and the Bengals didn't put Beavis and Butthead out on defense, the Bengals would probably have at least 1 Super Bowl right now. Joe Burrow the past 2 seasons has played at the level of a high-end Hall of Famer, and I just hope he can stay healthy because when he's out there, he's truly incredible to watch. Number 1, Josh Allen, Buffalo Bills. Because of Burrow's health and because of how incredible Josh Allen is, I do think he's the best quarterback in the league. I think the gap between him and other QBs in the Big 4 is minuscule, but if I had to pick one QB for a game, I think I'm taking Allen. For 6 years now, Allen has played at an MVP level, and he's the only QB in the Big 4 to maintain this level of play while also staying completely healthy the entire time. He is the best arm talent in the NFL. There isn't a single throw he can't make. He's at this point the best rushing QB in the league, and added another 14 touchdowns on the ground this season. He's also completely removed his turnover problems the past 2 years, and in 2025 had the lowest turnover-worthy play percentage of his career. And yes, he didn't get things done again in the playoffs this year, but let's not act like it was all his fault. He played incredible in the wildcard game against the Jags, and in the divisional round, he still put up 30 points against the top 3 defense, and he's not the one that gave up 33 points. Allen has been inching closer and closer to that top spot for a while now, and with Mahomes' declining production and Burrow's health concerns, I have Josh Allen as the best quarterback in the NFL. But that's it. Those are my top 32 quarterbacks heading into the 2026 NFL season. Where do you agree? Where do you disagree? Comment below. If you enjoyed this video, then please drop a like and subscribe if you're new, and that's it for me. See ya.